Welcome to Central Missouri Alumni Stories. I'm your host, Corey Bittner. I'm super excited for today's special guest, Dr. J.L. Adolph. J.L. is an assistant professor and teaches English at Georgia State. All right, JL, thanks for joining me today.
Awesome. Hi, Corey. I'm so excited to be here and to be a part of the UCM show here, Central Alumni. This is awesome.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to have you here. And I have, selfishly, I've gotten a lot of joy out of recording this show and talking with other alumni and guests that, frankly, if it wasn't for the show, I would have never had the opportunity in all likelihood to meet otherwise. So it's a great opportunity for me selfishly. And I just enjoy having the conversations and like talking to other alumni because, as you know, there's 120,000 alumni globally from UCM. Now, interestingly, 60,000 of them are in the Kansas City area, which is concentrated probably as we'd expect. But my point is, that's a lot of people with a lot of different stories who have done a lot of different things. And that's why we are talking here today. But is everything going all right for you and your family? Everything going well this summer?
Everything is awesome. I've been truly blessed to be here in Georgia, in McDonough, right outside of the Atlanta area. So it's been awesome. Go Mules. I'm happy.
I like it. Well, let's go ahead and get right to it. But before we do, I just have to ask for our audience, for those that are listening, or I guess really for those that are watching, if you can do me a favor, JL, and just explain the virtual background that you have there.
Oh, the virtual background is from my personal YouTube channel, which is Dad Cypher, a hip hop guide to fatherhood. And basically what it is my, as part of my purpose, what I consider or what I call my purpose, it is to link, to have a deep, intimate conversation with fathers, those of us from the hip hop generation who for the most part may have grown up fatherless or may have had different types of fathering experiences. And now without that father as a particular model or blueprint, this show offers step-by-step sort of deep, intimate conversations where fatherless fathers can learn and discuss what it means to navigate the terrain of what it means to be a man as well as a father. And it's very important because those of us who grew up fatherless for the most part, or kind of like went to this destination called fatherhood without a GPS map, without having that dad.
Interesting way to think about it, yep.
Yeah, so this show kind of serves as a sort of a supplement to have conversations so we can learn and grow.
Very cool. Well, we're going to get more into that, but thank you. I wanted to ask and put that out there for those that are watching, but let's get more to that. But just kind of starting your story from the beginning, and you know, in growing up, where did you grow up?
I grew up in West St. Louis, basically the inner city, the deep inner city poverty-stricken community. And that's where I grew up, a young man from Plymouth and Hamilton in the west side of St. Louis, Missouri. That's where I was born and raised. Hey,
you and me both. I didn't know that. I grew up in St. Louis on the south side.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yep. But probably like a lot of UCM from alumni, of course, from the St. Louis area, now all different areas, but okay, good. So you grew up in St. Louis. What led you to UCM?
To be honest, what brought me to UCM was actually a show by Bill Cosby called It's a Different World.
Okay.
And it was a particular episode where Jada Pinkett Smith was doing this. She basically defrauded the school, but she wrote a great story. And then all of a sudden they said, well, you don't have what it takes to be an engineer, but you can be an English major. And it's just something that like a light bulb popped in my head because I'm like, wait a minute, what is an English major? because I knew I loved to read and I knew I performed spoken word poetry. And so I really wanted to find a school that would do that. And so I was looking through, I compared Mizzou and UCM. And it's funny, this is how old I am. UCM mailed me a CD-ROM. And on that, it was the guy on there who would later become my fraternity brother was talking about the benefits of Central, like where I would not be just one in the number, but I would have an intimate relationship with professors. And I knew coming from my background, I needed someone I needed a university that would nurture me and see me, because I felt for so long going through the K through 12 system, I wasn't seen as a student. And I wanted to be in a place where someone would recognize me, where I can have an intimate relationship. And that's certainly what I found at Central.
Excellent. And I don't want to jump to any conclusions or make any assumptions, but I would, just given the nature of what you're doing now, right? Your YouTube channel, for instance, right? So, the hip hop guide to fatherhood, right? For fathers that didn't have a father, that wasn't relevant in their lives. I mean, for you personally, and where you grew up in the K through 12 system that, where you went to school, was it always a foregone conclusion that you were going to go to college, or probably not? I'm just curious what that's looked like, because obviously different people from different areas, different socioeconomical classes, there's a lot of people that just, probably plenty of kids out there who said they're going to go to college because that's what you do after high school. Right. But there's plenty of other people where that's not just some foregone conclusion.
Well, I would say certainly it wasn't a foregone conclusion, especially within the community. And I would probably say within my family structure, my father did not finish high school, and my mother was a teen mom. And so she graduated she completed her GED, and she did attempt to do some college. But for the most part within my household, it was really a push to find the quote unquote good job. And I actually did have a good job before going to Central, working at the post office, but it was something that I felt in my spirit, that it was something that was saying that it wasn't enough. And I knew that I was called to do something of a higher service. So I left the post office, and you can imagine how well that went in my family. It was like, you give up this good job.
You had the good job. Why are you leaving? Yeah.
You go to college to find a job. You have a good job. What are you doing? But I listened to my inner voice, and I took the chance on me and going to Central. And I would say it has paid off ever since.
I would say so too. Tell me about your experience at UCM. I mean, looking back on that, presumably you think, fondly of those years, but what really stands out?
You know what? I would say what stands out to me at Central was a chance for me to find and discover my own voice. For so long, and I think most students can identify, you are looked at as a child or a part of your immediate community, or your whatever your religious church home, whatever that may be. But at Central, which was basically 3 hours away from St. Louis, I began to find my own voice. And I think that is the experience that I will most value. Central gave me a chance to cultivate, to discover my own voice, and to step into what I consider a purpose-filled life, or a purposeful life. So that's what I got from here. I want to send a special shout out to Office of Community Engagement, Africana Studies Club, the English department, all of those different sort of, and of course, my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Zeta Gamma chapter, all of them helped me to find my voice in different ways of whether it be community building, conscious raising, fundraisers, whether that be food drives. Central gave me a place to find a voice and helped me to develop my heart for service.
I love that. And because I love that because it, you know, what I kind of hear you saying and the way that I think about that, right, is the university itself, you know, it kind of, it creates and facilitates in some ways the environment to be able to find your voice, to find who you are, to find your passion for service and ultimately a purposeful life. But despite that being there and it being in place, right? Not every student has that same experience, right? Some people they don't take advantage of that, or they're not even able to see the opportunity there. And obviously, you know, the years in which, I guess, conventional or traditional students go to college, just the ages at which they are at, those are for me personally, those were very transformative years of my life. And, you know, I changed a lot as a person over those years. And like you, I certainly felt like I had, you know, I was in an environment where I was able to do that comfortably. And I was able to figure out, sometimes comfortably, maybe sometimes uncomfortably, but I was in an environment that allowed that nonetheless.
I would say my experience speaks to that, you know, to add on to what you were saying. I think my experience speaks to the non-traditional student because at that time, I had attended a community college for a couple of years. And again, like I said, I felt like it was not for me. And so I began to listen to those other voices in my family that were saying to get the quote unquote good job. So I worked a string of jobs from post office to retailer to working at Blockbuster Music, all of these sort of different jobs, but I could not find what it is or what it was that I was looking for. And what happened was the birth of my son, being a father at the age of 23, helped jumpstart me to say that I need to step into my purpose to be the best type of dad that I could. And Central was one of the things I would say that was so great, they had a great program to help students as parents. And they had housing, and they really made it easy for a non-traditional student to participate and become active. And so I think being a dad and experiencing the quote unquote real world, I wanted to immerse myself into the environment. And once you immerse yourself, and I would just tell all students, once you get involved, the university opens up so many doors. It's just, it was definitely instrumental to my life. I'm forever grateful for my experience at UCM.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And you had a positive, beneficial experience there. It's helped to shape you, obviously, you know, into who you are today. What I'd love to know really is, you know, life after, when you graduated from UCM, you studied English, correct? So your major was English. Okay. So from when you graduated, I mean, your first job out of college to today, I mean, can you kind of just give me, I guess, a relatively short description of that journey? I mean, just kind of after UCM, you got a job and here you are today. What happened in between?
Okay. So after I graduated with my degree, this English major with a bachelor's degree, first job was at McDonald's. Okay. You know, because I began to discover that I needed to go. Well, before that, I was a part of the awesome McNair program. Yeah. McNair Scholarship Program that was developed by Dr. Ronald McNair to help out first generation college students, regardless of race or gender or creed. It was a scholarship that was helping those who were underrepresented in their particular fields. So right away, I knew, and then I was mentored by my professors, that the journey did not stop at Central. But I will say that right when I graduated, before I went to grad school at University of Missouri, Columbia, Mizzou, I ended up working for the summer at McDonald's. And I'll tell you, at first, that experience was sort of, so it was a sobering experience and definitely a blow to my ego for a moment, because here I am at Central, involved, campus, and that sort of thing. And then I go out into the real world and it's like, I have to start at square one. But I will say the beautiful thing about that is it helped humble me and help me to realize that I have that mule spirit to keep persevering, to keep pushing, even when things aren't going quite so well. So I worked that job until graduate school started, and then I became like a tutor and began a graduate student at Mizzou. And like the old, like I said, with the spirit of the mule, being able to, I made myself in a sense like a beast of burden in terms of pushing forward towards the path. And I kept teaching at a number of community colleges while in grad school.
Okay.
And then eventually I finished my PhD at Mizzou, worked at Lincoln University. So I had a chance to get
in Jeff City
HBCU experience. And then now I'm here at Georgia State University.
Very cool. That is very cool. And, you touched on this earlier and just kind of hearing that, having, a humbling or a sobering experience like that. And you touched on also, finding your purpose. First off, let me ask you this. If I asked you to define what your purpose is today, how would you answer that?
I would answer it by saying that it is a continual work in progress. I would say this. The thing that I feel that's my purpose now is to develop content and content in a meaningful way that will teach other students how to step into their purpose. See, I like big concepts and ideas. Yeah. And I think the biggest mistake that I made early on as a teacher was thinking that I totally had control of my students to tell them, you will execute this to reach success. Now I realize that I am merely a sower of seeds. I am here to help students to ask the questions that they have been having in their life. I prompt students to ask the question like, know thyself. What is it about myself that I need to learn and discover? And I believe that my purpose is to drop those seeds to help other young people to find what it is, what their purpose is, and help them to develop a plan to persevere that, to go towards that. And with English, it's all about communication. So therefore, you have to speak the life that you want into existence first, and then you have to follow through. So it begins with speaking it.
Oh gosh, that's really good. I love that, because I think I just think about my life, right? So this is very anecdotal, but I think that generally speaking, people, especially young people, right? Thinking about when you got your first job out of college and you were working at McDonald's, maybe not what what you envisioned, or maybe your family is like, we told you should have stayed at the post office, right? But whatever it might be. And that's not a knock on McDonald's, right? It's just that my point being, or what I'm really getting at though, is I think there's a lot of people that are under the impression that the only way that they can find or people are looking for purpose in their activities, right? So people are looking for purpose in their job. They're looking to extract it They're looking, they're just sort of in some ways, and myself too, when I was, even younger, earlier in my career, I remember, you don't really, it's a hard thing to define, right? What is your purpose? Know thyself, right? These big ideas, these big questions. And I think people need to contemplate those things individually. And they need to have people like you, JL, that are having those conversations with them and asking those questions and encouraging that, external or internal dialogue for people.
Mm-hmm.
But, people look for purpose in what they do, and rather than knowing what their purpose is and then bringing their purpose to everything they do.
Correct. I totally agree. I totally agree because I would tell you the times that I try to extract, as you say, purpose from a job or from an individual.
Yeah, even a relationship, right? I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah, it did not go well. I think for the most part, we are the biggest thing that I learned, especially at UCM, is everyone suffers from the imposter syndrome or the imposter complex. We're afraid that they're going to discover that we're not as good as we are. And so we're constantly measuring ourselves against one another, measuring ourselves by our jobs. But what I began to learn over the years is not, you will always come up short when you try to emulate someone else, and instead try to find the fullest expression of you. I think, that's the thing. So for instance, I have a brother that is brilliant at baking goods. He loves it. Okay. He finds joy in it. And for a long time, he resisted that. And then he started realizing that the success for him was waking up, realizing that he was making treats that people can enjoy. And that brought joy to him. So
he enjoys doing it.
Yeah, he was doing it. And so I would say to any young person, find what it is that will bring you joy. It should be, in a sense, sort of effortless, like a fish in water. It should, and you'll know when you're in tune, because it will be like athletes say you're in the zone. When you're living your life in a purpose, it's like you're in that zone, that frequency. You know that you can do this without any effort.
It's almost like the world slows down for you.
Exactly. So that's what I would say is most important. But I would say right now, I'm as I'm saying this, I'm preaching in a sense to myself, because I'm, beginning to step out even more on my purpose and, thinking about different things that I want to do career-wise, which is why I have the YouTube channel as well. I realized that the four walls that make up a classroom I was beginning to outgrow that. As a plant, I was beginning to outgrow that particular medium. It doesn't mean that I still love teaching, but I just felt like now that I've perfected that part of the craft, it's time to expand. And that's what I hope that young people will learn too from UCM. The one thing that I got from Dr. Brian Carter from the English department and Dr. Delia Gillis from the history department is that the life of a scholar should never end. You should always feel like a sophomore, because in your life, who wants to just become a senior? You have to, because I want to always keep that zeal for learning. I always want to keep that. So no matter that, even though I have the PhD, the highest level, I'm still a sophomore, because it's still new things that I'm learning every day.
That's really good. Yeah. Being a lifelong learner. I admire that too. I recall having a conversation to an advisor of my fraternity in college. He was in speech and pathology, and he was approaching retirement. And I just remember having a conversation with him, what is life going to look like after this? And he's like, I'm thinking about culinary school, right? Or I'm thinking about this or that. Like, this is what I'm going to go. When I'm done doing this, I'm going to continue expanding. I'm going to do something new. I'm going to try new things. To your point, I'm going to continue learning and growing and developing. And I can do that if I'm 25 or I'm 65 or anywhere inside or outside that range.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. What, how do you, well, and obviously with what you're doing personally, right? With your content, with the content that you're creating and putting out there. I mean, it's clear to me that helping young people find their purpose is critical to you, because it sounds like from, the conversations that were facilitated during your time at UCM, and maybe even before that, like you said, you kind of think you had this feeling, or you knew that you had some sort of higher calling, right? Or higher purpose. Divine intervention, whatever somebody might want to call it, you knew that to some extent, but maybe you didn't know what it was. I was the same way. Before I went to, I knew that I was capable of, I didn't even know what I was capable of, but I liked to think that it was a lot, but I needed to have those conversations, and I needed to have that internal dialogue to really figure it out. Who am I? It's such a big question to ask, but who am I, right? What am I trying to accomplish here? What can I do? How can I help other people? How can I serve, like you said? But it seems like now what you're doing, the content you're creating, the YouTube channel that you're hosting, what a great platform for people to learn how to be more purpose-driven.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I feel like you're doing the same thing with your channel as well. It's important that young people hear from people who have been through that experience, because for so long, because like most students, I had those moments where I'm like, I can't wait to graduate and that sort of thing. And it's natural to feel that way. But I would say this, and this is a song in my fraternity, that college days swiftly pass. I would tell the young people, I understand you want to be driven, you want to go out there, but take a moment just to really soak this all in, because you're fortunate to be in this place of self-discovery. It's so many people who do not have the opportunity that you have now as a mule to step into that. And I would say, at first I really didn't like the mascot at first, and UCM, Mo the Mule at first. I was like, but as I have gotten older, the thing that I learned is that a mule is focused. They are driven. They have drive. And you have to keep pressing on and have that drive, because it's not really even about the destination. It's not really about achieving the goal. It's about that journey and what that tells you about yourself. So I proudly now represent the mule, because it speaks to me. It speaks to me.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, just think it is all about the process, and it's all about the journey, because I think, a mentor of mine taught me probably 5 or 6 years ago. He taught me, we all, it's just, call it the human condition or whatever you want, but we very much have this mentality, and we're conditioned this way from when we're young, that, our mentality is A to B, right? A is where I'm at, B is where I'm trying to get. And we have this idea that when we get to B, like, that's where it's at. That's where everything's going to be good. Everything's going to be great in my life. I won't have anything to worry about anymore. Like, B is where it's at. And then you get there, and then it moves. And then you get there, and then it moves. And then next thing you know, you're chasing what you think is the right thing for you. You get it. You might have, momentary victory or celebration or whatever it might be, but then you kind of end up with that, that hole, right? Or that feeling of like, well, I thought I was going to feel better than this. And if what you're talking about, if you figure out what your purpose is, and you have an idea, it doesn't have to be, perfectly defined, but if you know what it is, rather than trying to go from A to B, your A can just start expanding, right? You can start bringing that purpose to everything that you do. And then all of a sudden, you don't need to be anywhere other than right where you are.
I totally agree. It's like giving me, like Oprah would say, that my aha moments and that sort of thing. I honestly think that's what it is. It's expanding that A. And I would probably say too, to add on to that, it is important to have those goals, but we just have to remember goals are merely, and this is something that I learned from a great, brilliant martial artist, Bruce Lee, that he said something that goals give you something to aim at. That's it. And I think in the purpose is that drive going towards the ultimate expression of you. But goals are there just to give you a sense of direction. So I would tell young people, some of the most important things that you can do is create, once you get, if you have somewhat of an idea what you believe your purpose may be, write down your vision and make it plain, meaning that you set a set of short-term goals and a set of long-term goals. And if you don't hit them, that's fine. It's
doesn't mean you fail.
Giving you a direction. So.
Yeah, that's really good. In the spirit of time today, I think we'll move to our next segment here, JL. And I didn't prompt you for this, but I think you're going to excel at it. So the next segment here is what we have named the Mule Minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rattle off some questions at you, and I just want you to answer off the top of your head.
Okay.
I think you can handle it just fine. No stopwatch or anything like that. But I am just curious, really what do you think? What comes to mind?
Okay.
Kind of like a lightning round. You think you can handle it? I think you can.
I think so. All
right,
I'll try.
All right, let's do it. We'll start easy. What's your favorite destination or place to travel?
Oh, where I live, Atlanta.
I like it. Okay, good. How do you like to spend your free time, or what do you do to relax? Maybe that's two different questions, but what's your favorite way to spend your free time?
Anything that's creative, content, whatever.
Creativity. I like it. And if you could travel back in time, this might be a little bit tougher. If you could travel back in time to any time period in human history, when would you want to go back to?
I would probably say I would want to go back to the dark continent, because it was, it's not really Africa. Africa was named after a Roman person, but I would probably say before the European encounter, going back to the motherland, just to see what that was like.
Very cool. Absolutely. Absolutely. Does it need to be can you name, I'm just curious, name share with me someone who has been influential in your life, but someone that our audience might know who they are.
Oh, wow.
If it's an artist, if it's maybe it's a professor, whomever it might be, is there someone that you think about as like, this person's been really influential in who I am? I guess it doesn't matter whether or not our audience knows them.
You know what? I'm going to say, wow, it's two people that come to mind, but you said only one. So I'm gonna go with Paul.
You can go with two.
Okay.
Let's hear him.
I'm gonna go with Paul Mooney, famous comedian for Richard Pryor and that sort of thing. And then I would say the African god that was played by Orlando Jones in American Gods, Mr. Nancy, because both of them are storytellers. And the world is just a better place with those who share stories that make others want to question their truth.
I like it. What, going a different direction, thinking about retirement, right? When you're done with your work, I know you'll still be learning, but when you're done working in that same capacity, but day one of retirement, the very first day, what are you going to do that day?
I'll probably write and read what I want to read.
Yep. Lots to consume, lots of time, right?
Yeah.
I think we're all guilty of having so much we want to read and write and only having so much time to do it. Okay, good. What's one thing that you know now, whether it's just in your life, in your work, whatever it might be, what's one thing that you know now that you wish you would have known the day you graduated college?
I would say that life is a process. There is no final destination. You are on a continuum of process.
Very good. Very good. I'm excited to ask you this next question. If you walked into an establishment and there was a karaoke machine and you had to sing or you had to karaoke one song, what song would it be?
Oh, wow.
Do you have a go-to?
I'm a big music head, so you know what? It would be Eric B. and Rakim song called "In the Ghetto," because he talks about time travel, time traveling from his inner city projects through time, through Africa, and taking all of that knowledge and bringing it to the environment in which he lived. It's a great, fabulous storytelling song. Eric B. and Rakim, "In the Ghetto." It's a really good song. Check it out.
All right. I like it. If you could try a profession completely different than the one that you do, what would it be?
I would be a radio DJ.
I like it. Good answer. And then I think you'd be good at it. Lastly, last question I have, and we've kind of talked about this in some ways, but I haven't really asked it explicitly. If you could give anyone, whether it's a college graduate, someone who's in the workforce, if it's someone headed off to college, but if you could give someone one piece of advice that's, timeless or important, regardless of their age, what's the one piece of advice you'd give someone?
Get mental health early to start discovering yourself.
Very good. Very good. That's the last question I had for you. You did great. You did great, by the way.
Awesome.
You did great, by the way, but yeah, awesome. I appreciate you again taking the time to to come on the show here today. I think we're kind of bumped up against the clock here, but as we kind of start to wind it down, for those of you, of course, that are watching and listening at home, make sure that you are subscribed to Central Missouri Alumni Stories on YouTube if you're watching the video, or wherever it is that you get your podcast. If you're listening to the audio, that way you'll be alerted every time that a new episode becomes available. And if you're looking to reach out to me directly, you can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. You can just search for my name, Corey Bittner. I'm on Twitter and Instagram also. My handle on both of those is @CoreyBittnerKC. But JL, what about you? If somebody wanted to get in contact with you, what's the best way?
Okay, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Dad Cypher, a hip hop guide to fatherhood. I also have a Facebook group. I'm on Instagram and on Twitter, Dad Cypher. Come and check me out if you're interested about fatherhood and other pop culture topics.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, JL. Thanks again for taking the time. This has been a lot of fun. There's so much that I wish we could have gotten to. Maybe we'll have to have you come back and do this again in the future. But for all of you, thank you. For all of you at home that are watching, thank you for taking the time to tune in. And we will look forward to talking with you next time. Have a great day.
All righty. Go Mules.